What's good, comic fam? This is Black Comic Lords coming at you. Just want to remind you guys to make sure that you guys don't just like the video, but you subscribe and you also tickle that notification bell. That way, every time we drop videos, you guys will be getting a notification. Please support us. We got a lot of things coming out of the pipeline, a lot of new interviews. So, without further ado, this is The Legend of Mario Gully Part 2, as promised. So, sit back, relax. This is going to be awesome. So, real quick, because I want to get into Ant as time's going along. And we'll get into where Ant was with Hannah Washington and then where Ant is now, and your thoughts on the comic that just dropped within the last couple of months. And then the future. What do you have planned for your future and stuff like that? So, Hannah Washington, we open up. If you really read the book, it comes off as, hey, she's writing this story. And the actual character Ant, she exists in this, and she exists in her mind. But then as you evolve and keep reading, you find out that Hannah Washington and Ant is one and the same, but it was just how it was written. So tell me a little bit about that.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you what's going on. First of all, I've never wanted Ant to be outside of her imagination because I wanted this to be a plausible story.
Gotcha.
Parallel to me, I wanted to be a comic book artist when I grew up. That was an impossible feat. When I was in high school, middle school, I mean, everybody, the perspective on art at that time, I don't know, it's probably still that way now, is you drawing, you're gonna be broke. That's the perspective, and I just wanted to be it's like a little girl want to be a superhero when they grow up. And that's how it happened. I wrote the story like that. I wanted to stay that way. I was a big fan of Pink Panther. Remember Pink Panther cartoon back in the day? Pink Panther never talked. Ant never talked. She would never say nothing. When Ant would come on the scene, it's about the task at hand, and she's going home.
Right.
Ain't no, I'm gonna get you next week. Batman. you fight Ant. I mean, you're gonna fight Ant. She's gonna fight you until the fight is over.
Right.
Because he's the ant. Ants work hard.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So now this is what happened methodically. Nobody didn't really understand that concept because they couldn't differentiate a fantasy in a fantasy from fantasy and something that they can think could mirror real life. To me, it's ridiculous because it's fantasy. That's like asking me how Superman fly. Superman fly because the guy drawing on the page. He's drawing it on a page. He's flying. That's why he's flying. Right. That's the only explanation. Now you can give some. Basically. So after that, after Arcana Studios, I did 4 issues, and it was always a goal of mine to do the best I could for my character, put my character in the best place to succeed. And Image Comics is the best independent. So I wanted to go to Image. Well, Jim Valentino didn't like Ant. And Jim Valentino rejected Ant about 5 times. Well, I heard wind that Jim Valentino was moving out and Eric Larson was moving in. Previously, I was working with, I think it was either Brian Haberlin and who else I was working with? I mean, I was always on the phone with some of the friends that I made, some of the people I made friends with, and ask them almost every day, hey man, what you think about this? Or what about this? And the word on the street was Eric Larson was always a fair shooter, and Eric Larson would always tell you what, he wasn't about that BS. They told us a lot of times that, a lot of those creators like to be liked. So they tell you stuff in their face like, yeah, you can send art in and stuff like that, and you're a good guy, and they'll shelf you. So I started sending stuff to Eric Larson, and that's when Eric picked it up. Eric gave me a chance, and I sent him stuff. I remember Eric saying that, I wasn't ready yet. Keep working. And even when Ant issue 1 came out with Image, prior to that, man, I got him on the phone and said, look, I can deliver. He's like, okay, all right, I'll give you a shot. And that's how that went. But he wanted to make some changes. He said if I wanted to put Ant in a stable of image with Spawn and Savage Dragon, I had to make her real. It wasn't going to be like that to me. For me, my perspective was Hannah would be writing in her journal, and she would read Image comics and put Ant in with the character she read about. That's my perspective on it. And it never was going to cross over to this point where it was out of her imagination until it evolved to a spot where she actually grew up and actually done that. They just fast forwarded it that way.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So Ant has. So let's talk a little bit about Ant's ability. She's got the strength and speed and proportion of an ant. She can clean the walls. And then her antennas that come out. Go ahead. I'm gonna let you talk.
A little bit deeper than that, because the milling on her skin, your milling sites.
Right.
She invented the ant spray, and it sprayed on her skin to give her the exoskeleton that of an ant. Armor piercing. You can't pierce it with bullets. It's flexible. Right. And it can handle pressure just like an ant. And then her antennas would pick up the psychological atmosphere, radio waves, sound waves, because it's an antenna. You know what I mean? All the invisible, and then they worked independently, and they were sharp. She can block bullets. She can communicate with other ants. It's a queen ant.
Wow. So the one part that I think I was confused. I'm glad I'm asking the source. When you saw Ant as Hannah Washington, you didn't see the antennas outside of her costume. So how did that work out? Is that something that it grows, or that's just a part of the costume? I was confused about that.
Well, theoretically, when you put on the exoskeleton, it's her skin. It's just skin. It's the milling sites in the skin. You can't separate it from his armor. That's if you cut it. Theoretically, if they was adamantium, if you cut it in half, she would start bleeding. It wasn't a suit. That was her skin. So she's walking around actually naked.
That's right, because it was like, I saw it. That's right. It was almost like the symbiote type thing, because I saw it kind of coming down. So you're right. I remember seeing it.
It was the symbiote before the symbiote. So at a level she can develop, at a level she can develop. I mean, if you can control your skin, you can make your fingernails sharp.
Gotcha. That's how she did it. That's how she did it. All right, gotcha. And I saw that, and I didn't.
And she had to eat sugar. I made her eat sugar because number one is a good visual of eating sugar and stuff, because I wanted to be like an addiction kind of thing, because ants love sweets.
Right.
So she would eat sugar to get her metabolism up to make her armor strong. Gotcha. And that's what ants do. She's attracted. I have been eating candy bars.
Ants, especially sugar ants. That's all they do.
Yeah, that's all they do. So
that's all they do.
It was based on that whole premise.
Gotcha. So we got Ant, and then we, at some point you decided to sell Ant to Eric Larson. Tell me how that came about, and everything like that.
Okay, here's a story. First, I've never wanted to be I got a philosophy from Jay-Z. Jay-Z said he don't make hits, he makes records. So I never wanted to be a person, in my perspective, to be an artist who does something just like Spawn or something like that, because you got one character and you're pigeonholed to that character. I don't want to ride a character that long. I've been in a lot of characters when I was in high school. Me and my friend Calvin, we had 100 characters. Them 100-page notebooks.
Uh-huh.
Me and my friends would go around and try to fill up every page with a different character, and that was our whole motif back then. So my concept was, okay, this is the single on a record. It's not my hit. It's not the hit. I don't want to be a Vanilla Ice. I don't want to do something like a Witchblade and stay with Witchblade forever. Right. And then, that, number one, to me, that reduces your skill set. And number two, a lot of people, when they get, it's like DC Comics with Batman. Bob Kane invented Batman, right?
You almost
Okay.
didn't want to get typecast as the guy with Ant. You're bigger than just that one
Right.
character.
Or like,
Right.
like
Gotcha.
in the style
Right.
itself.
Right.
It's very difficult. Even like, even the last 5 years. My whole thing was, it's not what you draw, it's how you draw it. I can draw dogs, I can draw superheroes, I can draw old women, I can draw portraits. It's like, and I wanted to show different forms of entertainment through art, to get the artist to evolve himself, not to get an industry to evolve itself. And that's the difference. Because, it all comes here in God, man. All the stuff we're doing, it was fantasy and all that. But at the same time, I wanted to evolve as a human being. There's so much going on in the world, about besides comics. I wanted to show people different aspects of life. So this what happened with Ant. Previously, me and my nephew was moving to Vegas. Okay, moving to Vegas, and I flipped my Benz going to Route 66 in a snowstorm. I was between two trucks, and my mom like, I'm gonna pass this truck. I'm gonna pass it. Okay, so I had, I pulled over, and I passed it, and I spent in the middle of the fucking highway and rolled over. And then I got up. We went to the fucking, we went to Vegas and everything, and I was tight on money. Of course, and here's at the time too, our aunt had three different. He had Arcana Studios had part of the licensing.
Yeah, they did. Mm-hmm.
Right, and then at that time, I think okay, I'm gonna let you know what happened. When I signed a deal with Arcana Studios, I wrote my own contract. I write my own contracts because it's my terms of engagement, not your terms. That's how we work with the agreement. It's my terms, it's your terms. And, that's how we did it. Sean O'Reilly, when he was getting bigger in the comic book industry, he got hooked up with Ken Levin. Okay, Ken Levin, he represented Mike Mignola on Hellboy and others. And he's also the guy who fought against Todd McFarlane in that lawsuit. The lawsuit with the hockey player. Right? So he's very adverse Todd. At that time, Sean gave me a different contract and I signed it anyway. So then half of my rights was out. I had to call Sean. I called Sean and said, look, you got to give me a loan on this auction because I'm going to sell it to Image Comics. And that's what we did. And I had to sell it to Image. There's two reasons why. Number one, I wanted Ant to be stable in that world without me doing anything. I'm going to be honest with you, because I've seen the process over the years and how things work. And I mean, we all know how politics are. And I'm just not that type of guy. I like to be free. I was already in a religious cult, if you think about it. And, I'm not the type of person that you can say certain things and don't say certain things. And this person you can talk to, I'm not that type of dude, bro. I speak my mind. So it was getting to the point where I did not, unless you own a company, you're going to still have to play by somebody's rules. And I wasn't liking how the rules was going, how the whole industry was being set up. The industry as a whole, to me, is a bad industry. It's a poor industry when it comes to production, making, critiquing, advancing. Bro, you got people that's over you and editors and stuff that they don't know what they talk about, bro. Just keep it real. They don't know what they're talking about. These people don't know nothing about art, nothing about business, nothing about, I'm talking about real currency. You don't know nothing about the treasury. You don't know about economics. You don't know what you're doing. These young guys, they all about ego and stuff. And it was very difficult when you're doing something that you know is your dream and you got obstacles in front of you it's not even obstacles. It's just people's a way of doing PR and selling magazines. Like in the 90s, they lied to people when they talk about everything's going to be rare. That's, it imploded. It's just telling the truth. So with that kind of concept going on, but at the same time, I did need the money. I did need some bread because I moved to another state. I had my kids in another state. I had 4 kids in another state, and I had to set myself up. And at the same time, I'm like, well, I know if I take Ant and put it here, my name will always be relevant. It's like the Kanye effect. As long as they keep saying my name, I'm all right. I don't really care if I didn't enjoy it, it wasn't going to look like I wanted to look anyway. Right. So that's what happened. I started Eric, and and I was getting a lot of towards the end, I was getting a lot of flack for a lot of the ideas I had. My whole thing was about unity and building a stable and having relationships with artists and companies, not per se books, but there's so much competition. They say competition going on and stuff. And I thought it was bad for the industry. I still think it's bad for the industry. So, I kind of got rid of her to the point where I was mature enough in this level to not want to be excited to prolong a story or do a saga. I'd rather do something where I'm putting a form of entertainment out there, but my whole thing was people and artists and developing. And, and I'm reading different books and stuff at this time. It's like you grow up on reading, Peanuts. And now I'm reading, Malcolm X. It's a different perspective that I try to put into my career or myself as a person. Developing different ideas and developing different styles. And I didn't like the monopoly, man. I didn't like the monopoly of Diamond. I still don't. I didn't like the monopoly of, of people grading people's art or people judging people's art that did not know anything about art.
Gotcha. I kind of have a weird similar opinion when it comes to grading comics, and you get the grading, the CGC, but I'm not gonna get into that because I know I'm gonna get some death threats on that one. Nobody that actually reads and follows comics, especially Black creators, can say that you didn't have dedication. Because there was, and I missed, that was one of the questions I want to ask you. There was plenty of times when you could have just taken the exit and said, you know what, I'm out. You rode this horse for years. And most people, they just quit. And I think what you're trying to say is, hey man, I wanted to release this character so I can kind of, in essence, kind of release myself from these obligations and having my character tied up. You know what? And sometimes it's like when we get into it with somebody, you know what? Y'all can just have it. Here you go. Here you go. Buy me out. I'm gone. And guess what? NFL players do it. NBA people at their jobs do it. Hey, I'm in the drop program. I'll retire. Y'all can have this. So I get it.
It's like that. And you know what? The bad thing about that is a lot of people don't understand it's the soul of the individual that keeps whatever dream or thing that he has alive. It's like if you look at, like, for instance, like I love James Cameron, he's a great director. Okay? When James do things James' way, you get a James Cameron movie. But when you get politics and stuff involved and everything like that, you get stuff like, Halle Berry's Catwoman. And that's because you got too many people trying to decide that they want to be what they are not. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. If you really, really love basketball, he's playing basketball every day. Every day. Now, you might buy his uniform. You might buy his ball. You might even buy the court. But you might not know nothing about basketball. Right. And that's the difference of the spirit of somebody who continues to try to evolve artists. My whole thing was, and still is, that people can do and be an artist if you want to be an artist. It's very difficult for people to be an artist and take a pencil and make money.
Oh yeah, that's where the term starving artist comes from.
That's where and I hate that. I hate that term because it's the same term that people created like 90s art. Okay, now, for instance, when people say styles are outdated or stuff like that, and they start, I mean, we've had so many conversations about, let's do this because DC is doing this, or let's do this because some artist is hot this week, or, you know, Ed McGuinness is doing good on Superman. We need a lot of samples of that. And that's totally against my martial art philosophy, is to express oneself honestly. Like Bruce said, to express yourself honestly is very hard to do. What looks good to you? What develops in your mind? What you know what I mean? And everybody can have a voice, and there's enough room for everybody to have their cake and eat it. And you know, and when companies or studios don't play that way, it's kind of disheartening, especially to a lot of editors, man, and not editors, a lot of artists, because I mean, you have some great people that's great artists, and they get deterred or get destroyed by somebody who's not even in the industry no more. They're working at Walmart now.
Right.
You know, and I didn't like that, bro. So, you know, I mean, that's why, you know, I invented my own LLC. I make my own contracts now. You know, it's funny because, I mean, just put in perspective, I get more per page now than I would have got in the 90s when I was hot. It's because I make better contracts.
Yeah. Make your own contracts. I mean, you have to advocate for yourself, regardless of what your fans, and you still have a ton of, you have a cult follow. I'm part of that cult follow. I'm a big advocate for it.
Thank you about that.
And you still have it. And when a lot of people, and there's still people like, I don't understand why people are still, dude, it was good stuff. It was good stuff. Do you regret at all selling it? Are you at peace with it? Do you ever wake up some mornings and say, dang, man, are you at peace with it? Or is it kind of little, every day's different?
It's not the character per se, because it's like a tooth. You know what I mean? You got a lot of teeth. It's not a character per se, but my voice in the industry and the ideas of image-making predecessors, having somebody there that's an artist and groom artist and who keeps advancing, don't cut back. I mean, there's a lot of things I do not agree with, and I don't do, and I think it's bad practices. Like deadlines. You're going to rush an artist or the creator to do something for an industry that would take it and just put on a shelf, bro. To me, that doesn't make any sense. You don't put an artist in, you put me in the best possible position to perform, not the worst. To me, rushing or deadlines is time management. I mean, you're making something. You know, you don't see people rushing Lamborghinis where they make Lamborghinis.
They damn sure don't.
They don't make, it's like it's like, that's why the industry to me is like it is now. It's imploding and eats itself, because they're evolving their business model instead of evolving the means of production. And that's the difference between a Yeezy shoe and some shoe you get at Walmart, bro.
That's true. That's true. I mean, granted, we want a book. If we say every 2 weeks we're gonna drop a milestone comic, we got. But you know what? Then you need to have Mario Gully have been working on that months ago. Not every other. I don't know how the production really works, and that's neither here nor there. But if you want Mario Gully to have a book ready to go on the shelves, you need to have had him worked on this months ago.
Right. It's like a movie.
Yeah.
A year, you can do a book. A guy can spend 10, 20 years to do 12 issues before it even come out. To me, that's a better representation. I mean, it's like making the Bible, right?
Right.
To me, that's a better presentation than putting somebody on a crunch. Because at the end of the day, if you take that idea and stretch it out, you know, Da Vinci couldn't even do that, bro.
Yeah.
He wouldn't do it the way. He wouldn't do it the way he wanted to do it. To take art to a form where it's to his standard of quality. And I'm all about quality. It's like martial arts. We have a saying in martial arts: You do not practice with your underclassmen. Why? Because you start having bad habits and getting lazy. You gotta, if you want to challenge somebody, you fight people that's better than you. You fight people that's more advanced than you. And that's the reason, that's how you learn, and that's how you grow, and that's how you increase. I don't like to decrease. I don't never like to cut back or rush hard or just get it done. I tried that stuff at Marvel and stuff. You know what? To me, it was superfluous, because at the end of the day, you're making something to sell to somebody. Give them the best product that you can give them. You know, what if people do that with food?
Yeah.
You know, to me, that philosophy didn't work. Yeah, to me, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
So, that whole philosophy about, even like to make the comment about any books that come out now, you can make a book with crayons, and it doesn't look as good as somebody who took their time and put ink on it and got real good George Bridgman anatomy on it. It got real good storytelling on it, and put quality into it. And that was the bad perspective of that. And that's the reason why I kind of chose to offset and put myself in a whole different mindset of, hey, I'm gonna do my book. This is how the book. If you want me to do it, this is how it's going to be done. If it's not, it's not me. You want me to be somebody else, and I can't be somebody. Just go find somebody else. Go pay somebody else.
Gotcha. Keeping it real. Keeping it real with yourself too. You
can
sleep at night. You might say you can sleep at night, and people might say, "Oh, you should have took it." And I hate to compare this situation to the War Machine situation with what's his face that was cast as War Machine. Then he was like, "Yo, y'all need to pay me," and they was like,
Don,
"No."
With Don Cheetah before, I got it.
And a lot of people, that doesn't sit right with a lot of people, that he walked. And people say, well, he's hard to work with. But you know what? He went on the Breakfast Club and said, you know what? Y'all, I signed up for this. And no matter what y'all intentions were, my intentions was to do X, Y, Z. And guess what? Sometimes we just have to part ways. And yes, Don Cheeto will go on and do great things, and people love him. But you know what? I think if you are solid in your decision, regardless of what happens after the fact, I praise you for that, because you made a tough decision, but you can sleep with it. And that's all. Peace is everything.
A clear conscience, and to live with yourself is priceless. I remember doing stuff and I put art out or something, or do a sketch or something and don't really like it. You feel, to me, that stuff carries on you.
Yeah, it does.
Or to rush a book. I've rushed books and the art's not really there. To me, it bothers me, because that whole process, it won't make me evolve or make me a better person. To me, it's like cutting back. I don't believe in cutting back, man. I don't believe in sloppy stuff. Why not do it the way it's supposed to be done? I don't care how you do it. If you're a company, you got enough finances to have Jim Lee to draw, I don't know, whatever. You can't pay him. You can't start 2 years before it start. Have him work on the thing 2 years, hush first, and then put it out. Why are you rushing him for it?
Right.
It doesn't make any sense to me for a guy to wake up in the middle of the night and have to get up. That's like me waking up in the middle. If my girl told me wake up out of my bed in the middle of the night just to have some sex, bro, I'm not going to do it right unless if I prepare right, though. You make the bed right, got the music on, got the candle. Yeah. That's a better situation than, oh, God, I'm done, I'm going home.
Right.
And that's the whole philosophy.
100%. So, book just dropped. How do you feel about and how do you, we're gonna last two questions. How do you feel about the two issues that just dropped, and what is the future of the art that we'll be seeing, hopefully, from Mr. Gully?
Well, here's the reviews say Eric Rush's art.
I'm not a listen. No disrespect to you, I'm not a fan of that art style. If nothing else, I wish he could have just signed you on just to do just the issues. I'm sorry, that art style, I can't dig.
Well, that's number one. Now, I'll say this and coming in forward, because there's different degrees of what people believe that they can express. So I don't really believe in styles. Let me give you an example. You got Charles Schultz on one side, drawing Snoopy, okay? And you got Jim Lee on one side, drawing a complicated Batman scene like he did in Hush.
Right.
I grade people on their effort. I grade on effort. This is like boxing, okay? The guy that's sweating and guy that's giving it in, okay, that's admirable to me. But the guy that's lazy and got a fat stomach and just, I can't really get with that because it's the effort. Now, to me, the effort is not high production. I'm just gonna tell you that. The colors is not. So to me, what are you expressing when it comes to this art form? I just look at it like that. And I judge any kind, whether my name is in a comic book or not, or in a movie or not. I look at the effort and the quality that some people try to bring forth. So I said number one. So the effort to me is not up to par to where I would think a 2021 comic should be at versus any other comic beyond that. I mean, it should be more advanced. I mean, the story could be more advanced. The art could be more advanced. And, instead of talking about me all the time about what happened and what and which way, I think it should be more about bringing people to a stable where they can create stuff and the evolution of their person, their themselves as an artist. I mean, I'd rather put out one book than put out 1,000 books mediocre. That's just me,
100%.
So, I mean, I take that as I look at that as Image as a whole. And in my opinion, Image Comics as a whole hasn't achieved the level of standard, not even the level of success, the level of standard that it did when people tried hard. It's tried hard. They ain't tried hard. And, I just look at it as a downgrade in quality.
Wow.
Yeah,
I was like, man, it's
but
back.
I love Eric. That's what they do and stuff like that. I can't really, it's like when Jim Valentino was going out. I heard he had arthritis and doing this and that, blah, blah, blah. In my opinion, the way I advanced over the years is to progress, is to study more, is to work harder. I mean, your art shouldn't be better 5 years ago. Todd McFarlane's art shouldn't look better when he's doing Spider-Man than it does if he draws something now. That's just my opinion. You're supposed to grow, supposed to increase, not decrease. Let me tell you a story. Bruce Lee had a student, and they was running. Bruce ran all the time. And he said, we're going to go 6 miles with this one student. And the student said, okay, I'll try. And after 3 miles, he started slacking off and started wheezing hard. And he told Bruce, I'm going to die. Bruce said, die then. And he got enough energy to run the whole 3 miles. And it's just like that. It's just like that. And Bruce told him, if you slack off in this area, it'll bleed off in different areas of your life.
It's just true.
So, as the industry as a whole, not including the AMP book itself, they've done that in so many different ways by downgrading the way they do things to the point where this industry is not where it should be. People talk about people don't read books anymore. I don't believe in none of that. I believe in, if you keep putting out the image of stuff that we got lucky, this was a heyday, or, the propaganda of making these rock stars, they imploded, defeated their own self by just telling lies.
Gotcha.
You tell the truth. These comic books, they're collectible items, blah, 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 blah. It's just forms of entertainment. I don't collect DVDs. and I don't come to you and say, hey man, I got, I don't know, I got Star Wars DVD 1979. This is worth $800, and you got a DVD from Star Wars remastered. You know what I'm saying? It's on Blu-ray now. It's worth $2. We don't do that. It's forms of entertainment.
Yeah,
and to me, they messed it up.
So what's the future? What's the future of you now? Like where can we find you next doing?
Well, it's funny because I took my company and went over to Google because it's a whole different type of atmosphere and it's a whole different type of view counts. Right? I mean, I got projects, but it's I've been through a lot. My dad died of Alzheimer's last year, and and stuff like that, and I got companies and stuff I work with, but it's just like I do, 10 pages for this guy or 20 pages for that guy. I have to get that stuff off my plate first before I can do my own stuff because I got when I was doing the sketchbook, man. That's when I was doing the sketchbook, I got 2 years of commissions that I had to do. And I went to, I got stressed out. I went to the hospital and stuff because I was, at that time, even now, my quality is I give you the best quality or I don't do it. I don't care if I'm doing a pinup. I don't care if I'm doing a cover. I don't care if I'm doing a 30-page book. I'm giving you the best of what I got. I treat the fans, and I'm fan supported, man. I'm fan supported. The fans support me when it comes to sketches, commissions, artwork, books. Companies like me because fans like me.
Right, absolutely.
And I start giving my fans the quality that people would give Marvel or DC when they're really hyped up and they got a real book, real big book, and they give them all the advertisements.
Gotcha.
So it's a different perspective for me now because there's so many things going on in the world I would like to educate people on, about finances, about precious metals, gold and silver, about getting out of debt, about being healthy, about evolving ourselves as a human being. And, there's a lot of stuff going on different planets that.
And it's bigger than comics, is what
it's a lot bigger than comics. Yeah. And to me, it's like to have an audience full of people and just taught them how to and just talk about how to draw Spider-Man. To me, that's from my perspective, it's a disservice to humanity because there's a lot of stuff going on, man. And there's a lot of people. I'm fortunate because I've always been able to do what I want to do after a certain point. I don't go nowhere I don't want to go. I don't buy nothing I don't want to buy. I don't get no check I don't want to get. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like I've met a lot of people that's unhappy with what they're doing, who they are, where they're living. You know what I mean? And it's like, to me, that's art. The basics of living your dream or expressing yourself. That's the whole crux to me of life because you're a happier person doing what you believe you should be doing. So, I know it's a long way around about what I'm doing now, but I got projects. I got a project with a movie studio. I've hashed out some things with Image Comics. I've hashed out some things with Cave Woman. I got a Cave Woman series that's supposed to be gone.
Hey.
It's overdue. 5 issues. Me and Eric has worked and cooperated on a project. I can't talk too much about that, but I'll be on the pencils on that. But I'm doing side stuff to branch out into different forms of medium. It's like it's kind of difficult because, I get praised by Condé Nast, one of the biggest publishers on the planet. And then at the same time, you can get a rejection from, I don't know, somebody like Top Cow or something. And I'm trying to figure out a way to get those two mediums to meet where people can understand a level of quality, not just make money, bro.
Gotcha.
Or not to put something out, just to put it out. Just say I put it out. You know,
I've heard a lot from you today, but I think the biggest theme that I would take is peace, own self peace, and your journey is bigger than what we've seen just on the outside. We just come through this, but it's bigger than that. It's bigger than the books, and it's a business out there, and you have to protect yourself, and you're not going to put nothing out if you can't get behind it. And there is a lot of people, like with albums, they'll just put out a bunch of filler because they have an obligation to put 12 tracks on this. But you'll say, hey, well, I'll do 12 tracks. It might take a couple years, but it's going to be right. Yeah. It's going to be right. And I appreciate that. A lot of people, they just, hey man, take this. Maybe I'll throw spaghetti. You're not a throw spaghetti at a wall kind of guy, just to see if it sticks. And that's great. But we just got a good glimpse, and maybe this really should just be the trailer for the real movie. But we got a glimpse, man, and I appreciate you, bro, because everybody don't, I didn't know if you was gonna respond. I didn't know if you was gonna be busy. I didn't know what was going on, but you respond. You reached out. In the Black comic community, we appreciate that, brother. So
yeah, man.
Thank you so much, man.
Welcome, brother. Appreciate you, man.
All right. Take it easy, man.
God bless you.
God bless you. All right.